Good evening and welcome to another episode of Dissect. I go by the name of Novelist.
And I go by the name of Jewel.
And of course, tonight we have another exciting episode for you guys. We're doing something different tonight. We're going away from music tonight. That should be interesting. With no further ado, let's bring everybody onto the screen, ladies and gentlemen. We got some of the U.S. veterans and current Army soldiers in the house with us tonight on Dissect. Let's bring them all to the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Miss Toussaint. Welcome, Mr. Kazumi. Welcome, Mr. Alexander.
Welcome.
Good evening, lady and gentlemen.
Evening.
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
Good.
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 All right.
You guys sound like, you guys good? You guys nervous? What's it?
Oh, no.
All right.
It's excited,
All right.
the excitement.
All right.
Yeah, we're
let's get
excited to have you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get everybody to introduce themselves. I guess Mr. Kazumi will start with you.
All right, well, good evening to all the fans and all the listeners. I am Staff Sergeant Michael Kazimi, currently stationed at Fort Eustis, Virginia. I've been in the military for about just over 9 years. And, I'm here with my family right now. I'm an 88 Mike by trade. That's a truck driver, motor transportation operator. And, just saying good evening. And it's going to be a great show. Like I said in my promo, it's going to be great.
Nice.
Miss Toussaint.
Good evening. I am Ramona Toussaint. I am originally from Bronx, New York, but my parents are Dominican and Martinican. And I served 7.5 years in the Army, stationed the whole time in Killeen in Fort Hood, Texas. And I'm a former Army captain, and I was a 65 Delta, which is a physician assistant.
Nice.
Happy to be here.
Nice.
And of course, Mr. Alexander.
You are on
Your
mute,
mic
sir.
is muted. Your mic is muted.
It's all right.
Good evening. I'm Kurt Alexander. I was born and raised in Dominica, coming out of Marigot. My family on my father's side is from Lozo area, Fonkole. Knew Michael Kazumi since he was a baby, even when he was in his mom's stomach. I served 20 years in the U.S. Army as an engineer doing construction. Started off as an interior electrician, and as I progressed through the ranks, I became a construction supervisor. Retired back in 2013, and have been working at NASA ever since. Well, yeah.
Exciting.
Nice. We're sitting in good company, and we're safe tonight.
Yes. We have NASA, we have a truck driver, we got physicians, assistants here.
Ain't nobody messing
All
with us
in one.
tonight on Dissect, boy. So,
Yeah, Dominicans do great things all over the world.
All right.
what's that?
Dominicans do great things all over the world.
Amen.
Oh, for sure. So, I guess let's start with you. Can I call you guys all by your first names?
Sure.
Like,
Of course.
You know,
Good question.
make it more, more comfortable and more, right? All
Instead
right,
of
so Kurt,
sergeant and corporal and
right,
yeah.
So Kurt, let's start with you. You moved from Dominica to the States when?
I came to the States back in 92, moved to the Bronx. Uh,
Right.
so I heard Ramona said she was from the Bronx. We stayed
South
over there.
Bronx.
Yeah,
Okay, so
we
you got the
stayed by
name.
the Bronx Zoo, over by the
Yeah.
Bronx Park area. Joined the Army. Probably spent a year in New York, and after that, I joined the Army.
Okay. So
Okay.
what made that decision? Was that something you always wanted to do, or?
My like my father was in, and a couple of uncles. Like I had an uncle that was in before the Vietnam era. He was the
Right.
first one to come to America, but he was
Okay.
in so early before the Vietnam era that when it was time for the Vietnam to kick off, he was getting out. He was ETS, and they were trying to entice him to re-enlist, but he was like, I already did my time. So
Right.
Yeah.
he came, he got out, and he was the one that pretty much sent for all of us on my father's side, and then my father sent for us. But he was trying to get us up earlier, but I wanted to stay in Dominica and graduate high school there.
Hmm.
So like growing up in Dominica was a great experience. I'm glad that I did that. And
Right.
Michael's uncle Jerry Walsh is one of my best friends growing up. So we moved over here 92 the next year. I just followed it was kind of like part of the family trade. So I
Mhm.
just followed in their footsteps, and then it was an easy route to independence, getting on your own 2 feet.
Good
Nice.
story.
So nice. So I guess Michael, let's ask you the same question. I guess. Um, what year did you join the army? Well, first of all, you were born in Dominica, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And so what year did you move to the States and join the U.S. Army?
All right. So I joined in 2012, October 2012. That's when I shipped out to basic training. But I'm from Lower Goodwill, Libla Lane originally, and slash Pottersville, Potter Street. Where I lived with my family all my life. Then my dad migrated to New York a long time ago. So I used to go back and forth during the summertime. Come up to New York. Then my mom is in St. Croix, Silka Walsh, and between St. Croix, New York, and so forth until I moved permanently in 2012. So back in Dominica, where I live with my aunt and Josephine, my uncle Jerry, Joseph, Emmanuel Walsh, and so forth in Pottersville. So, we had a nice family home. I worked. I used to work at SAT Telecoms as a cameraman in the media department. Then,
Mhm.
I was just living life, and I was good.
Right.
To be honest,
Right.
at first I did not want to move up.
Mhm.
Life was great.
Yeah.
Life was great. Life was great. But anyway, my mom was like, hey, come on, man, time to be a man. You got to stand on your own. So, hey, shout out to my mom one time. She's watching, man.
Right.
So,
Right.
moved to St. Croix, Frederickstead. But if you know St. Croix, the Virgin Islands is kind of slow. So I wasn't really feeling it. So I moved up to New
Mhm.
York in Queens with my dad. Then, from being like an independent person, making your own money, doing your own stuff, then just being under somebody's like,
Mhm.
under my dad's roof, so under his rules and his regulation is not a problem. But I just had to be a man and do something on my own. So I actually walked into the recruiting station. So I voluntarily walked into the recruiting station like, hey man, hey, sign me up. Time to
Mhm.
do something with my life, and that's how I joined.
Wow.
Yeah.
You walked in from New York, you
So
said?
yeah, in New York, yeah,
Yeah.
Jamaica Queens, right on the avenue.
Yeah, I think that's how most people from the New York area get, recruited. They don't really go after New Yorkers.
Yeah,
So you're pretty much gonna be a walk-in. So that means you want to be there.
Exactly. That is something I always wanted to do, So I was like, but the decision is like, should I go reserve or should I go active duty? And my dad, he was 100% supportive. He's like, hey man, don't do anything halfway, just do it full. Go active duty. Try it out for 3 years. If you don't like it, just come out. You always got a home. And 9 years later, I'm still there.
I have a question to ask. You made a good point just now about New York doesn't really recruit. You gotta volunteer yourself. And do you have any idea as to why that is?
Well, the idea
your own opinion as to why that is.
The idea is, I know, like I joined back in the day, back in '93, and the problem was most New Yorkers kind of like they had a record, so it's not like in the South where you got them kids just coming right out of high school, big corn-fed kids. You have to do more filtering in that area. So it's a pain to go around trying to recruit people, and some people just don't want to, join. So whereas you go somewhere in the South, it's more heavily recruited in the South because, it's easier to get soldiers or get recruits down there. In New York, you have to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole, to check, make sure this guy don't have a record, make sure this and that, is legit. So that was one of the major things. And that's coming from recruiters or guys that later on were recruiters that was my peers.
Thanks for clarifying. Go ahead, Susan.
I just want to tap on what you're saying. So it was different for me in New York. So I graduated.
Wow, 97. I was on my first tour.
So you everybody
yes by then.
I got commissioned in 2002.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I had just re-enlisted again.
So Ramona, what made you want to join the military?
Yeah.
So I was highly influenced by my late father, Raymond Toussaint. He was born in Martinique, but his side of the family is all from La Plaine. He when he came to the States, he was drafted, unfortunately. So it's crazy. So you immigrate, right, for a better life. And then you just, okay, you're drafted, you have to join the military, So he went, and then he did serve during the Vietnam War. He was injured. He had a knee injury, and he was a very proud man, So in college, I had a graduate who came, and she told me about Morgan State because I went to Morgan State University after I graduated high school in Baltimore, Maryland. And she told me what the ROTC, the Army ROTC program did for her. And ROTC is a Reserve Officers Training Corps where they train you in college. Once you graduate college, you serve your obligation. So you can get a scholarship to help pay for college, and then your obligation is to serve afterward. So I joined in my sophomore year. I didn't join right away. So I had to play catch up. And yeah, he definitely inspired me. He passed away in 2015. Myself for, carrying on and fulfilling that legacy, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you guys mentioned tours. I want to ask all three of you guys the same question. I guess let's start with Michael. What's your first tour? What was that like? Like, you leave training and all that stuff. Now you on a plane to whatever destination you went first.
Hey, to be honest, man, it's just Yeah, so
Right.
so when I went to Korea, it's just a year, just a year tour or whatever. But it's not a combat deployment like Kurt and it's two Segad. Um, it's on a company, so I went by myself. You know, I left my family back in New York. They stayed with my dad, so that's my wife. And at the time, we only had Jainik, my daughter, and Jaik. So, you know, my parents held it down for me tremendously. I'm telling you, from my mom to my dad. They took care of the household, you know, so it was pretty easier for me. It's always good having
Family.
family. Listen, your
Yeah.
family is very important. You got to take care of your family. Like, swear, my wife,
Facts.
all I had to do is like focus on my work because everything at home was taken care of, from the bills to taking care of the kids. And my dad held it down, brother. I swear to God, my dad and my mom. So you see all that support system I got. That is what you need when you serve. You need that support system because we cannot
Right.
make it on our own. Plus my friends, I'm telling you, I had close friends that was checking up on my family for me, like calling them up, like, hey, Michael is gone and so forth. Hey, you good and this and that. So they did that for me, brother. So I appreciate. I'm just giving everybody their flowers. I appreciate,
Right.
I appreciate
So,
that for real.
so that made everything easier for you.
Right? Smooth sailing, smooth sailing.
From a female perspective, I'm talking to Miss Toussaint. It's a little bit different from a male leaving and a female leaving. What was it like for you going off to your first?
Extremely scary. Extremely scary. I was 25. I had just graduated from PA school, physician assistant school. Iraq. I was like, okay, I have like no combat experience, not even experience as a medical provider. I just graduated, right? So, so I met my unit was there for a month already, and I met up with my unit, and it was tough because I look past the progression of rank. So they say with rank you get respect, but it was a trip. Started out as a second lieutenant, a low rank, black female, number two. Number two being black and number three being a female. You know, and then I'm 5'1". So, and then as you can see, I'm soft spoken. So, and you know, make my presence known,
Right.
and really to kind of prove myself. I always had those moments where I had quite a few moments actually where I really had to stand up. And it tracks on now. Everybody want to salute me. Everybody want to talk to me and listen to me. You know, but that was when I finally was able to implement projects and things. I improve things for the soldiers as patients and, you know, and their functionality and being ready for their mission. You know, that's when I really had a voice, unfortunately. But at times I feel like I was still heard as much as my other peers.
Right.
Quote unquote, I read the eyes.
Well, all relate. I think we can all relate in that to that aspect.
Right.
You really have to speak up and be forceful to be heard. You know, as a minority soldier.
So Kurt, what was your experience like your first tour?
Well, my first deployment, I came in during the time when it was a little less right after it was just right after the Gulf War and Somalia. When I got to my first duty station in Fort Virginia, my platoon had just returned from Somalia. And then I would say about a few months later, we were slated to go to Haiti. And I don't know, I was one of the most enthusiastic kids. I wasn't nervous about it. We suited up, went training. We did a lot of work preparing ourselves to get out the door for the deployment ready at all. And so we spent a lot of time training and preparing, getting our gear together. Got down there, and it was an invasion that turned into an intervention that eventually turned into a humanitarian mission. And it was funny because they thought there's like, all right, this guy's Dominican, and they had an issue where they needed somebody to translate. And so we don't know how to speak well. So the guy goes and he gets me, and I'm like, yo, I don't know how to speak that, but I could understand because my grandma, their side speak it on my father's side, and she was trying to teach me. So I could understand, but the guy was like, so you mean to tell me he's from Dominica and he can't speak Creole? But he said it in French, but I got what he said. But it was a good experience for us. I also, at that point, I met another Dominican. His name was Patrick Toussaint. And he was, at that point, I was a private first class, and he was a specialist. And that guy, he was an awesome guy. He was a great guy to meet. He was a mentor to me later on in my career. He was my leader for a while. He's still active duty right now as a sergeant major. So it's pretty high ranking. Probably somebody you guys should get on this interview because it's very stories. But it was good to see Haiti, to help the people out, and the portrayal of Haiti, like compared to going to Haiti, like the city is pretty, like the city looks really poor, but when you go on the outskirts, there's rich people, there's people living comfortable. It's as my first tour, kind of easing me into, the future deployments to come.
Okay. Great story. I'm just taking it in, loving the story. That, you see what's being depicted in movies a lot, and you don't really understand it until you hear it from.
That it's exactly like the movies and then some. A lot of people think it's a joke.
It's exactly like the movies and then some.
It's not a joke. Okay.
Yeah, but they leave out some of the crazy stuff too. Like they definitely do.
I mean,
some of the fun
we can agree to disagree because Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna direct the movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we want to.
The most iconic moment for me was walking down the flight line. Do y'all remember that moment? And you're like, oh, ish, I'm about to go to war. I'm 5'1" with a big old rucksack.
Yeah,
my handbag.
For going to Iraq, it was I was supposed to get reassigned to Germany after I was stationed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I hadn't deployed yet, and because I was an instructor at the time, and I get there and they reroute me to another unit, to a combat unit, and I'm not combat, so they won't release me. They're like, we need you to come with us. So I don't know. Like I was scared in the beginning, like nervous because this is real stuff now.
Yeah.
But then once, I got that out of my mind, you know, I never had that fear while I was deployed, you know. Portray, fear.
Of course.
When you're in leadership, you can't be falling apart.
Definitely
Right?
not.
Because somebody's looking to you to move forward, to lead. So it definitely gives you courage.
Yeah, when we landed in Iraq, because I was the only to do it, we had to go in a Humvee in the zone to my camp at Camp Falcon.
So you fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yes. And in my head the whole time, I'm looking out the Humvee with my gun. I'm like, what the?
So you said you went in 03 or 05?
I went 05 to 06. No, I missed that.
Because
what's Bow League 2? What's
basic officer leader course. I was an instructor there, and that's where when a lieutenant came from his or her commissioning source, you went there to get combat tactical leadership training. So we were training these officers to lead their and
I did everything else, but not that, because I think it was the requirement was like literally the year after me.
Oh, gotcha.
I got out.
Well, yeah, you're right. Because the class started in 06. They were doing the pilot in 05. Yeah. You're right. And so you went during the surge. That was the rough part. Did you do 15 months?
I hear that.
Right. I'm like,
all this code's going on here. Like,
sorry, acronyms. We got to spell them out.
Well,
the
surge was during like I would say it was 05 to 08. George Bush enacted the surge where they were putting more people. They were increasing the manpower in Iraq because and also they were extending your tour. So it went from 12 months to 15 months.
Yeah, I was there when they were still looking. I think they had just got Saddam, or he was in court or something like that around that time.
Had to be. I can't remember. Because I know at that time I was just training, getting ready to events.
So Ramona, what's that? You have a question for us?
For my two comrades here.
Oh, go ahead.
But you can go ahead.
What was the question?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just curious because I just don't want to forget to ask. Did any of you experience any racism? Been on my brain. I'm like, because I like to know other experiences.
It wasn't overt, but I did get into a fight with a I was taunting him. I was like, you want to touch me, and we kind of got into an altercation because of that. But that guy at the end, he didn't really, I wouldn't say he was racist, but he's just never seen a black person before. But at the end, he realized we're all just Christmas. If your basic training is going to run through Christmas, you get a break to go home to your family. and the guy couldn't go home because I guess he left home on bad terms. So my bunkmate, my battle buddy, which was also black, he was from Florida, and he told him, because the drill sergeant was like, everybody was going. So somebody's gonna take him home with them, right? So the drill sergeant said, "Don't everybody speak up at one time." And my battle buddy said, "I'll take him home." The guy was from Montana. He ended up in Florida with my battle buddy. And when I was like, "How was it?" And he was like, "Man, it was a great experience. You know, cool family. They welcomed me. You know, treated me like their own." And now, the other side, when I went to active duty, my permanent party units, I wouldn't say racism was overt, but it was there. Yeah, it was like, you know, it was kind of systemic, and it was also covert. But if you were smart enough, you could always catch it. You know? and it was, and that's when they started, like, they didn't, when I all that stuff, you guys.
Really? They didn't have EO?
like they had something similar, but it wasn't as strong as it was by the time I was halfway through my career. So you really didn't have an outlet to deal with stuff other than IG, the inspector general. You know, and a lot of people didn't like to go that route because then, you know, you snitching or whatever. But whenever you had to nip it in the butt, you know. But a lot of I would say a lot of soldiers, you know, the Caucasian persuasion, they played nice, but some of them pretty different when they retire or get out.
Yeah. You know, so. That's an interesting question though, because like you both are retired, and Michael, you're still active, right?
Yeah,
so
still active. I personally never experienced racism, but there's a lot going on out there. So that's why the Army has invested so much in an equal opportunity program, you know, where you kind of discriminate someone by their sex, their race, their culture, and so forth. That's why these programs have to be taught discriminating against each other, because we all there for the same cause, right?
Yeah,
true.
For the same cause, but it's happening. It's like you may be passed up on promotion or going to the promotion board because you're black or because you're white, according to who's your leadership, you know. So if you have like a Hispanic leadership, that Hispanic will look up. It should not be like that, but it's happening.
Well,
it's happening still.
I would say, like I said, so I go back to the covert racism, right? So I was stationed in Alaska, and my supervisor, like, you could just tell the guy was, you know, like, you could tell, you know, and all of a sudden I have all the black soldiers in my squad. And I'm like, why do I have all the black soldiers in my squad? I got 14 soldiers, and the majority of them are black, and I got like one white female, like two white males, a Hawaiian, a Samoan, and a Filipino, and everybody, you know, and say, well, we need to be a little more diverse amongst the whole platoon, you know, but I'm trying not to make it seem like trying to pull the race card. But at the same time, my squad was top heavy, meaning I had most of the senior So so I went with that route. I said, okay, man, I got too many E4s, so
Too
let's
many
split it
brothers.
up. Move
Yeah.
some around because a lot of these guys were about to make sergeant, and
Mhm.
so that's how I got them to be a little more diverse. But you had to look at it a different way, so nobody think you're pulling the race card. But
Right.
really, it was there because the way I felt like it was every time a soldier came in, and he
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
so yeah,
Wow.
it
There's a
was
number that goes. There's a number
yeah,
at the
it was
bottom of the screen for the viewers. If you guys want to send any voice notes to our guest tonight, the number is right there
Yeah.
now. So definitely send your voice notes to that, and we could also play it before we get off, and they could answer your questions if you have any. All right. So Ramona, let's
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Um, quite a few different questions have been popping up too.
Yeah.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
get to that.
yeah.
Answer that question.
Okay.
Then we'll get to that.
Send them to the
Okay.
voice.
I feel bad. I'm like, no.
It-
So I didn't really receive. Uh, okay, so I received more sexism
okay.
than rape. Like said about having to stick together, literally wherever you go, you just create a clique. I don't know what it is about our people. Wherever I went, there was a clique. As soon as I got there, my battle buddy was the platoon leader, and she was mixed, but hey, one drop of black, right?
Mhm.
So and she was really cool. I'm telling you, and I think what I was lucky, I'm not okay, blessed.
Right.
So my command was all black. My commander was black. My first sergeant was black. My battalion commander was black. The XO was black. And they were all like in frat, and they were all cool, and it was dope. It was dope. Like they looked out for us. So I will say I was blessed in that sense. And then throughout the course of my Army career as a PA, when you go to different trainings, you make friends with took a Black Hawk to Taji, to a conference that they had for PAs every year. Dope. So I definitely was blessed. In terms of sexism, my second tour, okay, so overall, like I said earlier, depending on rank, you get more respect.
Mhm.
But more to male soldiers, especially male officers versus female officers. I used to see female commanders in certain situations get talked, and then I would see male commanders, and they wouldn't stand for that. Of course, military bearing was there, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen female commanders like by themselves, like distraught, and thinking nobody could see them in their office. So during my second tour with sexism, we had, so EO was what he had mentioned earlier is equal opportunity. And that's it because I went to a command operating base. It was a huge Air Force type base, so it looked like he was in the States and not in Iraq, which was crazy to me. We had fast food restaurants and everything. I was like, are we in Iraq? Like makeshift ones though, but still, like you could have Cinnabon, you could have Pizza Hut. I'm like, dang, Air Force living good. What? Because the year before, 2 years before, I was at a camp in the middle of the zone, and we would get attacked with missiles and rockets like all the time. So it was crazy. But anyway, so they decided to send me on a mission with one female medic to an all-male cop. Okay, so what that is a command outpost. And it is literally in the middle of the zone. At night, they're supposed to not have lights, but they kind of have lights. So imagine you're in a dark room and there's a flashlight standing in the middle of the floor. That would be us at Target. So staying there was difficult because we didn't have all the great amenities that, you know, the larger base had. Right. And then they had a group of women from a different unit that were there before. So apparently they were okay with sharing bathrooms, sharing the whole shower bathroom, regular bathroom. I was like, no. So because I had captain, they started listening. And I got them to put a lock on the bathroom door because I got walked in on like at least 5 times in the shower and the bathroom. So dealt with a lot of that. There's a lot of sexism there, a lot of sexual harassment. I am a sexual trauma survivor. It's a lot, but you know, it made me a stronger person.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Another thing I saw about that with the sexism part is they always try to feel like, you know, that chauvinistic trait where they're trying to protect you or not, you know, like, all right, we're not gonna let you do this because, you know, it's probably too saw because it's too heavy or the too full, you know, not giving you that equal chance or opportunity to perform. You know, I didn't allow that in my squads or my platoons. We shared the load, and it was appropriate for your abilities. You know.
Right.
Seems like you have a lot of different experiences from the panel because Kurt, because you come from almost like a different era. Going through, not age-wise only, but experience military-wise. Things have changed and evolved over the years. You probably wouldn't have seen that Cinnabon setup when you were around.
No, because I was there for the transition.
Yeah.
You know, I was there when I was there when it was towards the end, but I experienced some of the transition to where the Army has improved greatly. So, yeah, I mean,
it's good that you can speak from both perspectives. That's good to have you here.
It was good. It was good because my son, he went in to the Guard, so I could share my experience with him.
Can you share some positive things about the military? Like if someone had negative connotations about the military, what would you say to combat that? No pun intended.
I think the camaraderie is great. And even like, you know, we were speaking about, you know, racism and all that stuff. When we get together to perform, to fight the enemy, you know, the camaraderie is you can't beat that. And the opportunities that you have when you leave the military is also great, because for my example, I wouldn't end up I wasn't in the military, because when they were looking for what they called pathways interns, a pathways internship, which is a pathway to civil service, and they needed all you had to be was a military vet with, you know, at least 5-point or 10-point veterans preference and a clean background, you know. So they pretty much raised me into the cybersecurity field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I think
it
we
is
deserve
dope.
it.
Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say, like, the benefits, like, you get the military discounts, when you go shopping, you go Foot Locker, whatever, you get that 20% discount.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the discount they already have, you get to travel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
for different training and different classes. And the training also, you actually get college credits, which could go towards your degree, which I'm taking advantage of. Like, I'm going to college, so I'm a full-time soldier, a full-time online student, a dad, into one. So I'm going to college for free, working on my bachelor's. My wife actually just graduated with her bachelor's degree
Nice.
through
Right.
military aid, and she's working on her master's right now. So that's free money
Mm-hmm.
we are getting. So we are taking advantage of all those benefits, And like Kurt said, when you make a friend in the
Yes.
Yeah.
I swear to God, these guys will take their shirts off their back for you and
Yes.
give it to you
Right.
if you need it. You may know somebody or your friend or whatever, and you
Mm-hmm.
ask them for
Right.
the slightest favor and they will not help you. You could ask
Right.
someone all the way across the world and they'll do what they have to do to help you out through the military.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
is
I'm
the
telling you,
truth. That is the truth.
that is true. So these are
Yeah,
So
the
all
you
the
create. You,
benefits.
brotherhood
so you.
is
So
Yeah, so you,
so I guess the same thing goes with the ladies too, Ramona. You'd say, like that
yeah. I'm
sisterhood.
sorry, guys. Yes, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. So we talked about racism, right? But um, everybody bleeds red in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're trained to protect your country. When
Right.
you go to war, you would literally die for your battle buddy or your comrade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many non-military civilians, even if it's my
Organize.
family or friends, hey, I'll take this bullet for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an interesting bond that we have with our comrades.
Right.
Yeah, and I really, believe that Ramona, you were blessed because I probably had that at one unit where most of my leadership was black, and I really took advantage of that, the mentorship, and making sure that I was ready when they said, "Hey, you're going to the board," or "Hey, you're going to this school," or something like that, or getting recommended like for drill sergeant schools, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And because
recommendation.
because when I got to my last boys, and the thing that saved me at this time, I was already about to be a sergeant first class
Wow.
because they were not giving you any opportunities there. It was really hard, and I really had to bark loud,
Yeah.
and they were surprised when I made sergeant first class. Like they were like, "Well, how'd he get on the list?" Like I was performing before I got here, and
Right.
it was really tough. But some of your own kind in leadership,
Yeah.
but they still have to be, willing to mentor you. But having, people of your own kind, and you always pass it down. I never was in my squad. I never held them back unless they were actually messing up to where that stuff's going on paper. But if you weren't messing up, you were going to the promotion. If you needed help to get to the sergeant first class rank, you was going to do that.
So we have some thank you for sharing that. We have some questions coming in, a lot of questions coming in. It's an exciting comment coming in at the bottom here. Navi, do you want to go to the questions or do you have some
Well,
questions
I
to
was gonna
submit?
ask one more question and go
Yeah,
through there, but
sure.
all right, let me just ask this one question, then we'll go to
Mhm.
Facebook and if there as
Yeah.
well. So how much work do you guys feel like the military has done or is doing for PT PTSD?
So I'm a disabled
Anybody?
veteran. I'm a disabled veteran for combat PTSD with military sexual trauma.
Right.
And I had to fight 10 years to get my disability. It's, and there's some
Right.
people that go and literally will lie and get, a percentage. I love practicing medicine. I love taking care of my patients.
Right.
And it was very hard to accept what happened to me. But there are so many programs placed inpatient therapy. I did both outpatient therapy. There's group therapies over the country, some where the government will actually pay for veterans to go for a weekend or a few weeks and get that intense psychotherapy that they need. So, and it's veterans of all ages. I've been in therapy since 2014 as a disabled veteran, and I learned the most from Vietnam vets. I definitely learned the most from them, but yeah, there's a lot of things out there. The problem is, and I have a lot of comrades, literally all of us have PTSD. I personally think it's inevitable. And it's like a given, but that's just my bias. A lot of soldiers and a lot of veterans have pride, and they don't want to ask for help. They actually feel bad. I can't tell you the numerous number of comrades that have told me ex-veteran, but they're like having night terrors and sleepwalking and sleeping with a gun under their pillow. But
are you referring to people that you know? And the reason why I'm asking you this, because I know that for our race of people, we oftentimes we're not more accepting of counseling and therapy, and we're always saying, oh, it's the other guy, it's not us, we don't need help. We kind of sweep it under the rug. It's a cultural thing for us as Black people, whether you come from the Caribbean. Would you say that they're of the Black race that are more saying that they don't need the help, that they're not suffering from PTSD?
No, because I have comrades of all races, and all that I'm coming across, it's just a plethora of different races, to be honest. But within what you're saying, within the culture, I personally be growing up in the household, and then when you do start to hear little bits and pieces, because you'll be weak if you go to therapy and then, Caribbean, Black people in general are very proud. And, I guess the older generations don't want that to be put out there, like such and such was in the psych ward, or, just. If I could tell you the things that I was told, come on, I had no choice. I didn't choose this, so.
Yeah. Right,
yeah, Caribbean parents are harsh.
The things they've told me, though.
That's the real trauma right there.
Caribbean parents, yep.
Right?
You're not going to go there. They watch
but I could think it's probably worse.
Right.
Yeah, and what you say, novel is that is true. Got my daughter at the back.
yeah.
But that is true, right? Because growing up in the Caribbean, man, you grow up strong. You play sports, you go to school, you're into music, you're into everything. Plus, I joined at a later age. I was like 26, so I was experienced already. So going through training and what it's like or whatever. But going basic training was actually easier for me because basically basic training, they break you down because, you know, you're a civilian and you got all your street slangs and your rules and your mentality and your thinking. So they have to break you down and build you up. So break you down as a civilian and build you up into being a soldier. You understand? Plus, when you have experience, it's kind of traumatizing for them. So that's where they cry and so forth. But it was easier for me because I'm already disciplined. Because I'm a really easygoing, kind of a quiet personality. So talking when I don't have to, that stuff was kind of easier for me. But everybody experience is different. You understand? So my experience could be different from what could.
It's interesting you say that because that's a question I wanted to ask from earlier. Is that, well, Ramona, I'll ask it in the sense that being that your background is Dominican, or I'll just say Caribbean to be fair, do you think that helped you a lot that in your military training? Like, you know, the way your parents already raised you, like you said, to be quiet when you know you have to be quiet, because I think we all that helped you guys, or that made everything a little bit easier?
Oh yes, big time. Let me tell you, I'm the only girl. Okay. So, and my father was prior military, like I told y'all. So, I already had that discipline, and I was older as well. I was 25, you know, when I had to start active duty. So I would just be looking at these people pass. Training, get up, like get it together. You chose this. Like, what are you doing? You want to be recycled? Like, you know. So, it wasn't hard for me.
I think I laughed at a lot of people. I think in basic training I laughed at a lot of people. You know, because,
and why is that?
Because they were just this is so easy to me. And
it was.
It's running up and down this hill to Marigot, man.
Yeah, and then the discipline. Exactly. Oh yeah, them hills. Yeah, Foncole too. But the discipline for one. And going to school in Dominica, right? You're already wearing uniforms. You know, you're getting your butt whooped in primary school. In high school, you had more respect for authority, right? And a lot of soldiers, like the first couple of weeks, man, they couldn't take all that drill sergeant yelling at them, you know, making them do push-ups and stuff like that. Some people were trying to rebel, you know, and drill sergeants was like, at that point, when I came in the Army, they were still putting hands on people, you know. I seen a drill threw him down the stairs, you know.
Wow.
I mean, they were really rough, you know, and like she said, like you just needed to know how to just be seen and not heard. You know? So, you know, I just kept a low profile. My whole basic training pretty much kept a low profile. Anything they told me to do, I did it, you know, to the best of my ability, and, you know, moved out the way. And then I was 20 years old. No, 19. I turned 20 and trained. And it was funny because I was in AIT, the advanced individual training. I forgot my birthday that day.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Running in the boots, and they had shin splints. They walking in crutches. You know, some people blew out their shoulders like after week 3. It was really bad, you know. I mean, the first 2 weeks, you couldn't really, like, your body was so sore. At the end of the day, you're walking around like an old person. But the next morning, when they tell you to move, you better move. So you don't know where you get the energy from, you know. You don't know how to And then like Ramona said, you didn't want to be recycled. You didn't want to go do this over.
Yeah.
You know, you did not want to be recycled.
Yeah, it's hard work and determination. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard work and determination. Even before you go into basic training, there's like a future soldier program where you actually do training, preparing you to go into basic training. So I'm not going to lie to you. Like, even one of you all remember me before, like nobody should have known me before. I was chubby.
Yeah.
I was chubby.
Yes,
I wore glasses. I was overweight. So through hard work and determination, I lost all the weight. I swear to God, I lost all the weight where I could, there's a weight requirement for you to join.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a weight requirement for you to kicked off.
Yeah.
So lost all the weight and I got fit. So like I said, man, plus I was like I'm a natural born leader because, just playing for sports teams and so forth and being involved in different groups, that brings out the leadership role. So it came natural to me. So listening to my drill sergeant, that was easy.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Right.
I also feel
determination.
I didn't meet too many people from the Caribbean that was in the military that were excelling at whatever their MOS, their job was, whatever their profession was in the military. They were all trying to make rank. They were mostly all physically fit, playing in a sport, and trying to be that leader. I never met a Dominican that, especially and there was a set of twins from Salisbury.
Okay.
Two young ladies. They were about my age, and they were in the same unit, and usually they split them up, but they were in the same unit, and they were performing like neck and neck. I had another friend that I went to high school with. She showed up later on. Was from the Caribbean. So I had guys from Dominica, Jamaica, St. Kitts, Guyana, Antigua. There was one guy I met that was an outsider. He was from Cape Verde, but he likes music, so he fit right in. But
So someone made a comment just now that they were surprised that Kurt enlisted because he was so laid back. Michael explained how he's a chill kind of natured guy. Miss Toussaint, you said that, Ramona, you are a quiet, reserved person. People that I know that are also in the military, my family members, are also quiet. Natural thing that people have when they that the military is looking for.
We can like what they say, we can get bucky if we need to.
Right. Those are the ones.
Yeah, don't get us mad.
Right. Ones are the ones you don't mess with. Right.
Yeah, that is true because like if someone try to talk to me some type of way, I just give them that look and I'll be like,
oh yeah.
You really think you're talking to?
And like I said, I came in the military when they still could hit people. So like it was kind of phasing out, right?
Right.
But yeah, a couple soldiers, because some people will try you and they'll try and escalate. And sometimes it goes as far as where you probably need to like put hands on this guy. And so, grandmother was the one that was mostly surprised that I joined. She said, so later on when I was like visiting her, when I was in for a while. I was in for like 10 or so years. She's, she just sat back. She had this chill, this smile on her face. And she said, I didn't think you were going to make it.
Oh,
And
wow.
also, she said,
Wow.
I did not
Yeah.
believe you was going to make it. And she said, but you stayed the longest, because I had uncles and my father, that was in, and in different branches. And she said, but of all the family members, you stayed the longest. But at this point, I have 2 cousins still.
Mhm.
Like, one's a sergeant and the other one's a sergeant first class. That's She was like, yeah, I didn't think you was gonna make it, man. But it was because, I was like, that person suggested it. I was really laid back. It was so bad in basic training, they couldn't get me to march right. Like, I used to walk around, at the drill sergeant was like, man, you walking around with a bebop,
Slouchy.
yeah, and it was so. When we had the drill and ceremony competition, so they had a chance to win, because I just couldn't get the marching thing down.
Wow.
But by the time I moved, to primary leadership school, I think you guys call it warrior leadership school now or something.
Basic leadership course, basic course.
Like the one for E4 to E5.
Yes, because the word warrior, they're trying to drive away from the
negative
warrior,
connotation.
guys. Basically, we could convert it into like the civilian world.
Yeah.
Nobody ain't trying to hire warriors anymore.
Yeah. So by the time I got to that point, I could march, and I aced it. When I got to my advanced leadership course, I was the distinguished honor grad.
Nice.
And pretty much what I tried to do was, every school I went to, I try to be the best person in the class. I think senior leadership course, it didn't happen, but I tried my best, because we had some nerds in there. It was a great experience. Going to schools was good, because you left your unit for a little while, and you got to make some new friends, in your field. So cool too.
Thank you. There's a WhatsApp question. Navi, do you want to address the WhatsApp question?
No, I was actually saying let's go to some of WhatsApp and the YouTube questions.
Yeah. You guys are hot.
Lots
of questions coming in.
Once there now, it says, what's the worst punishment you ever received, and what? What's the worst punishment you ever received? Oh, and for what?
I should just do mine first. Nothing compared to y'all.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I came back my second tour, and I had to have a surgery done, elective surgery, and but it was to help for my back, so I had a reduction.
Okay.
And the doctor had the profile, and told me all these limitations and things that I couldn't do. Right. And I was still going to the clinic. But my commander decides all of a sudden he wants his PA to be going to every briefing, every training that I in the clinic, taking care of soldiers. And I'm explaining to him, I can't be doing, they tell me how somebody walking and blah, 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 I can't do, and he made me go to one briefing. And I remember it was like a storm. In Texas, we get these crazy monsoon type rain things. And I'm in the rain. I was supposed to be like, we're drenched, so we didn't know it was going to rain, and I was pissed. I was supposed to be on sick leave. And then I went back home. He didn't like that. So his punishment, I had to write 2 essays. Yeah, like 2 essays. One was about like simple things, like, let me give a quick example, like how to be I had to write 2 essays, and then I had to read them in front of him and for
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I thought his punishment was going to be to read them. You read them, so
Yeah.
You said two
Julie,
essays.
you want to grab one?
Question from the viewers.
Media.
There was a question earlier from Michael as to how things are now. I think we were talking about how things are now in the Army, in the military, sorry.
Well,
we
so how when it comes to that question, how things are now, I would say the military are taking a lot more issues that they maybe kind of ignored back in the days more serious. You know, like Ramona said the PTS to get diagnosed. They are actually taking that more serious because I have soldiers under me that are going through their counseling, their medication, and because you see a lot of these army vets like homeless, right, and all that stuff. It'd be like, how can an army vet be homeless? But because they are suffering from PTSD, I guess back in the days they will just like kick them out or whatever. So they're actually taking that more serious. So I'll give them that. Is another hot topic with the military. Suicide rate is very, whether you're a combat vet or from the veterans to those who are still serving, and it's pretty sad that someone that you served with, when you look, man, they took their own life, so they survived all these wars, Afghanistan, Iraq, and they survived own life because they couldn't cope with the life stresses, all the issues they're going through. Some of them can't sleep at night. Alcohol, so there's one soldier who was very close to. He told me like, man, I can't go to sleep sober, man. Like, how do you do it? I was like, man, I do it every night because I do it. But he cannot go to sleep sober because every time he closes his eyes, he's like all. You understand? It's like you see somebody today and it's like they take their life tomorrow, man. That's very sad. So we're doing all these suicides and where to get the counselings and the 24-hour suicide hotline. So they are taking that very seriously. The equal opportunities very seriously, where you just kind of escape, man. You discriminate against anybody. Right. They will end your career, brother. And it's just basically life. I think they are doing better with their family life too, because you will get deployed for like 15 months. So it went from 15 months, which was a very long time separating you from your family. Went down to 12 months. And now usually when you go overseas, it's like a 9-month rotation. So they cut it down. So because you remember your family care of the household and all that stuff, and just away from each other for all that time. Remember, you're gonna miss anniversaries, you're gonna miss birthdays, you're gonna miss births, you're gonna miss everything, because I swear, like after my daughter was born, the superstar you've been seeing back.
Yeah.
After she was born, I think like 5 months later, she was just 5 months, and I went overseas for 12 months, so I missed her birthday. And I got a 1-year-old, which I just missed her birthday also because I was out on the training, and I recently came back. Back from that training, so I missed her birthday. So I missed both of my daughter's first birthdays, and there's anniversaries that I missed, but they understand. So you have to teach your family, like, hey, this is what I signed up for. This is what so forth. Like even on on holidays, like when there's a national holiday or federal holiday, instead of getting that one day, that day off, you get 4 days off. You get from the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that Monday off. So it's just more time to spend with your family. I think that's the major changes. And, they actually into education because other than what's going on in Ukraine, there's not much war going on. So you have to back at people, you have to, right now it's technology. It's technology. So you have to advance yourself. And that's the talent management we are dealing with right now. Yeah, you got to hit those books. You got to separate yourself from the others. You got to be smarter. And Caribbean people are hardworking people.
Facts.
We are hardworking.
We have we're gonna take our last question, and it's a voice note, right, Joel?
Yes.
And I believe we have that voice note ready. No.
No.
Because they're afraid they would not get the job or jobs that they wanted for promotional. Most in the 82nd, and a lot of people I know that had it in there, they would be scared to do it because they're afraid they would not get the job or jobs that they wanted for promotional concerns.
So I take it that's probably a vet himself speaking, or somebody that part in that.
That you should. So a lot of people don't want to admit that they have PTSD because they don't want to be looked upon in a negative light. I think that's what he was trying to explain. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Navi, we had a lot of fun tonight with everyone on the panel. Like, there's so much more to talk about.
We did.
Yeah.
I know. Like, welcome back anytime. Season 3, we'll talk the details and stuff, because I know there's so much more to say, and there's so many more questions that we did not get to at all. All right. And there's a lot of people that was putting up questions that, and we went over a time limit, but it's all good. So you guys are definitely welcome anytime. Say hi to your family, or if people want to follow you on Instagram, whatever your goodbyes are. Let's start with the lady, and we'll work over. But the lady, you're actually coming back here, not next week. I believe the week after. You're coming back right here.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes,
got
I'll
some.
be back in 2 weeks, guys.
You got some. You got some proper things we need to talk about, right? The floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Shout out to the Toussaint fam, Toussaint Legacy, and the Myler family. That's my mother's side, Bernadette Myler. Shout out Roseau, Point Michelle. And definitely it's okay not to know that you haven't been sleeping right, or you just feel like something's not right. Your mind's wandering, you're thinking, am I crazy? You're not the only one. It's okay not to be okay. And like Mike was saying, there's the suicide hotline. That's also a counseling hotline as well, 24/7. The VA will take care of you.
All right, so I just want to say thanks to you, the Dissect family, for actually inviting us to your show. I want to say thanks to the Most High for giving me the health and strength for being here. Thanks to my wife, Tamisha Kazimi, my daughters, Jayunik, and Janaya. Thanks to my mother and my father. They are the one that actually push me, and keep me going. Thanks to all the Pottersville community, Lower Goodwill, Libla Lane, Rawls Lane, Didier Lane. Okay, that's my home right there, brother. And thanks to everybody, all the viewers. We cannot forget the viewers from Nigel. Gesture that you gave to us, the retired and the active serving members. Thanks.
Of course. Most welcome. Kurt?
Yes. First off, I would like to thank Michael for thinking of me when he had that opportunity. He actually called me in the car. I was heading to my brother's house, and he was like, person for it. So, a great opportunity to share some of my stories that, of my time in the military. I would like to shout out to my parents, my dad, Ellison Alexander, and on my mother's side, Theodore Hamlet. Shout out to the Alexander family, the George family. That I grew up going to high school, and I will never forget my people from Marigot. Hopefully some of them are listening or checking it out tonight. And all my friends and families over here that supported me during my career.
Nice. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Incredible story.
Me up. Yeah, I'll organize everybody, man. We'll come through.
All right.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there was a lady, I can't remember her name right now, but she was active on the line.
Peta.
That's my girl, Pizza. Okay, Pizza.
Oh, Pizza? All right, there she is. All right. So we'll work out the things. All right. So we'll balance it. We'll have two females. Try to have two females. All right, so this has been another episode of Dissect. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for viewing. Thank you guys for sharing the vibes. Do follow Islands Therapy and TDN Network 1 on YouTube. Follow TDN TV on Facebook and follow Islands Therapy on Facebook as well. Subscribe to the channels. We'll see you guys next week. Have a blessed weekend and a blessed week.
Bye.
What's up, guys? This is Sadiq from Connect 767. You can check me out on Dissect Saturday, March 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on, let's dissect the thing, man.